Hello, I'm Daniel Ronald Loughrin. The album that's probably been the most influential on me with making music has been this one, the Alaniaris Live at Somewhere There on CD. This album specifically has been influential on me, maybe just because of the guitar player on the recordings. His name's Ken Aldcroft, and I studied with him at the University of Guelph for 4 years, and I got to see him play in a bunch of different groups of his. I think I was turned on to this band by needing to do an assignment for a class that I had in university that was attending a show that was had some sort of basis in free improvisation. And I knew my professor Ken's project was playing at a little pub here in town in Guelph. So I went to go see them. And I think this was the first or second year that I was studying with him. And it just freaked me out. It was just like a really super interesting performance. And I had never heard anything like it before. And then I think I was like promptly telling everybody that I was friends with at that moment to be like, this is the thing that you need to check out. I remember there was a gig that they played at the Transac, and my buddy Derek from that band Zones came through, and he was just losing his mind. He was saying they were hitting all the right, wrong notes. To be honest, it's not so much this record that is the thing that is that draws me to this actual physical product. This is just a live recording of a set at a place called Somewhere There, which was it had a couple of different locations, but it was a hub for free improvised music in Toronto for a couple, longer than I was involved with that scene. Probably like 7 or 8 years at the very least, maybe more than that. But yeah, this was recorded live there, and I think what this record doesn't have and what I wish it did have is some of the banter that Michael Kaler, the bass player, and I think who took like probably the lead role in the band as like a front person or something. He had this banter in between songs where he would describe certain aspects of the music and make it like an educational performance, which was fantastic. And he would tell stories about like the sort of Greek gangsters in the 30s that were like smoking weed and playing this music and taking long draws off of their hash pipes and like then playing this very odd like Greek bouzouki driven melodic weird time signature stuff. It was interesting to hear him speak about it. And then just watching Ken play guitar is an absolute treat, and being able to have it on record and sort of like take my time with his solos and his performances and be able to find the details with this music is an interesting exercise. I like it. Lately, I've actually been listening to this record with a fine tooth comb because Ken passed away a couple years ago, and when he was still around, he had a monthly night gig at the Transac where he would perform music with his various groups, and that night has kept going since he passed, and has been. Now it's sort of under the tutelage of Joe Sorbera and maybe a few others in the city of Toronto. And now it's a monthly night of music by and for Ken Aldcroft. So I've been taking I've been looking at some of the tunes that he did for the record. East of Baghdad was the one that I really like, and have been trying to like pick apart what his guitar solo is on that recording. And it's interesting. He was a singular player. There was no other person like Ken on the guitar. This album, at present moment, makes me feel incredibly lonely. That it doesn't always do that, but since Ken has passed, the music that he's made has taken on a different meaning in my life. Because he was, once a week for an hour, having someone pick apart every single thing that you do on your instrument with like a very, loving and guiding hand, but also like a firm one. Nobody else has had that effect on me and on my playing, and no one ever will again. So to listen to this music and to hear him on any of his recordings, it just makes me miss him a lot. And sort of makes me feel that when you have these people in your life that are like absolute treasures, that you should do everything that you can to support them and just, appreciate and praise them. Maybe not praise is a bad way to describe it, but appreciate them and let that love be known, because life's real short sometimes. I absolutely can name my favorite record of all time. It's this one here. It's Tera Melos, Drugs to the Dear Youth. I think technically it's an EP, but there's more music on this thing than most full-length albums anyways, so it counts. There's no possible way that you can hear your favorite record for the first time and know that it's your favorite record. It doesn't work that way. That's not a thing that happens. So, not that this is the only criteria. There's a myriad of other criteria, but based off of pure repeated listens, this album has topped everything else that I've ever listened to by like a landslide. I'm pretty sure I could recite this thing front to back and there's no lyrics on it, and it's just like the densest guitar and drum and bass work that I've ever heard on recording, and it's consistently like invigorating for me to listen to. There's nothing like it. It's an incredible record. I've never gotten tired of it. The one thing that I've done that I've made the music slightly more interesting for myself is playing it 10% slower. It sounds thick. Sounds real thick. It's incredible. But, that's not me getting sick of it playing at normal speed. Like, it's just something funny to do because I know it so well. It's interesting. I've also listened to it like maybe about a dozen times with my headphones flipped or my speakers flipped to understand. It's one thing that I don't like about this record is that the drum mix, like the stereo drum mix, is from the audience perspective. So the hi-hat is on the right side of the headphones and the floor tom is on the left side of the headphones. When I personally prefer the other way. I don't know why. I'm a nerd for that sort of stuff. So I sort of started listening to this record. I was like, well, if that's what happens on this record, then what if I just flip my headphones? It'll be even better. I discovered this band straight up in the glory days of MySpace. The second track on this record, 40 Rods to the Hog's Head, was like a thing that played when you clicked on this band that said that they were from Rigel 7, which is, I think, where Kang and Kodos are from The Simpsons. I could be wrong with that, but I don't think I am. But yeah, I don't know. It was a MySpace thing, which is a terrible way to discover something, but if it leads you to stuff that is gold, what's really the problem? There's nothing there. It's just... people are very precious about crate digging or like having stuff like they keep it to themselves and then they pass it on to people as like a rite of passage or something. And I think that's stupid. Music's for everybody. Any way that you find it, any way that you listen to it is valid. There's no reason for people to be uptight or snobbish about the music that they listen to, or to get upset that someone found it on a social media platform. So go fuck yourself. Go fuck yourself. Yeah. What am I doing with my life? I'm pretty sure this album was recorded at the headquarters of Tape Op magazine. Or at least the drums were tracked there. So there was like someone in the band knew someone that had like a skate shop or something that shared a building space with the Tape Op magazine headquarters. So they just set up their drums and they had access to like a bunch of ridiculous microphones. But I mean, really what's important about this recording is the performances on it, and also the energy that comes through with those performances. Like, with such technical music, how can it still be so punk rock? Like, how can it be the nerdiest thing on the planet and then also the stuff that makes you want to kick the shit out of your brother or something? I don't know. Or, I don't know. There's some energy with this music that in my life before I heard it, I didn't know it existed, and then I heard it, and now if that energy was ever gone, I would be amiss. I don't know. I'd be completely different. It'd be like a part of me was just not around anymore. So that's really the important thing about the recording, is that it can have that effect, which is not many recordings can do that. This album makes me feel a couple different ways depending on the situation. If someone was playing it for me, I would immediately view them as like some sort of as part of a club or something. I'd be like, you like this band, and also you like the best part of this band. Not that they're, that have ever done a bad recording or there's been a bad iteration of this band, but there's something magical about the lineup on this particular record and the other EP that they did. It's super magical. So if someone was like putting it on, I'd be like, yes, we're one in the same right now. If I was playing it for somebody else, maybe they've never heard it before, I'm like giddy and excited to share the feeling that I got for the first time hearing this record. Like I probably ruin it for other people by being like, oh, this part's sick. This one's really good too. This doubled up snare drum in this at the end of this track's really good. How does that sound come out of a micro Korg? That's pretty cool. I don't know. I know it too well, so whenever we're listening to it, I feel the need to call out all the great things about it, but I should probably just shut up. Someone wouldn't like this record because, it definitely sounds like a mess at points, and that's very purposeful on the band's part. It was like this weird line between music that sounds completely chaotic and thrown like ad hoc, I guess is a way that you could describe it. But it's meticulously thought out and like practiced, second by second in a rehearsal space. So like every weird change and every moment is calculated. So having like so many calculated moments over and over and over again in the span of around 30 minutes has got to be taxing on some people, but I live for that. That's like, it's just like one interesting and crazy idea after another, and they're all executed perfectly. But if you're not someone who's into those things that are, like strange musical territory, weird time signatures, melodically it's actually like a fairly simple record, which is the thing that would draw someone who isn't into like weird techie time signature based stuff or like just strange rhythms. The melodies would be something that they could latch onto, but even then there's a couple brown notes here and there, which is real nice. I don't know. Someone wouldn't like this record because it's just a weird record. That's about it. Like, who comes on this show and puts like a normal record on here?